Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Tuesday edition of the JP Peterson Show. Tim Ham joining us from our affiliate in Dallas, FanStream Sports DFW. Good morning to you, my friend. How are you?
I'm ecstatic, JP. I am high on hockey right now. Can't even begin to tell you.
Oh, you're going to rub that in, huh?
No.
You guys are still playing and we're not? Jerk.
It's going to gloat a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, good for you.
I love the Lightning, but they're not playing anymore.
I know. It sucks because I love watching the playoffs, but and we have to watch this dirty, stinking Panthers. But okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's the hardest part, right? Is that they're still playing and that they dominated the Maple Leafs. Yeah, that was a tough one to watch. I was watching that one at the bar, and I even had my Maple Leafs hat on. Man,
Game 7, just it's weird, like rooting for Toronto.
Oh yeah.
For a second, I felt bad about their fans, but then I remembered how obnoxious they are when they come to Tampa.
Right? They are, man.
I really do feel for them, but I feel for Lightning fans. I mean, the Lightning fans have endured a lot of losing hockey in playoffs. 9 of their last 10 home games. And it's a lot of money spent and not a lot of fun after the game. But that's part of it. You go through you win 2 cups, you go to a final. It's that you got to kind of go through this, and they continue to make the playoffs and continue to be one of the better teams. They just keep running into the damn eventual champions, and that sucks. That sucks. But anyway, we're not going to talk a whole lot of hockey today because we got some other stuff to get to. Simeon Rice yesterday. What an emotional day. What an emotional day. We're going to get into that. Sim's going to join us at some point. He's a very free spirit. He told me he's coming on the show. He gave me a big hug yesterday. I've known him for 20 years on and off the field. We've stayed in touch since he retired. He comes on the show all the time. He's just a great dude, and I was so happy for him personally watching yesterday. I'm very surprised at how emotional he got. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that here in just a little bit. Also, the Rays lose last night 4-3 at home again. The Steinbrenner hex continues. It's somebody's going to have to sacrifice a live chicken at some point. There's going to have to be some type of voodoo thing. So we're going to have to go down to Ybor City and find some, I don't know what kind of shaman to come out there and, blow put some sage or something at that place or something. Maybe I'll bring it out there today and see if we can get that done. But it's something that's got to be done. The Yankees have left something in the park, some type of talisman. I don't know what it is. But there's a hex on this team. There's a pall on this team over Steinbrenner Field. So we got to do something. We got to do something.
And last night was just bad.
The way it ended.
You get Chandler Simpson on base as the tying run in the bottom of the 9th. You feel pretty good about your chances, right? He can steal. He can stretch out a play.
Well, as soon as he gets the catcher interference, it's like, okay, he's on third base. And one of the, Curtis Meade screws it up. Seriously. He hits, wait till the guy steals second before you swing. You're horrible at the plate.
Yeah.
Just wait till he steals second. And then if you want to move him over. But of course he swings early in the count, gets him to second base, but we needed him to get to second base quicker. Yeah. And because he would have stole the bag. There's no way they're throwing him out. They're terrible. And Hader's on the mound. He's slow. They're not throwing him out. Like wait till he gets to second base. Again, fundamentals. It's just,
and then you pop up a bunt.
Oh my God.
You
we might as well just get into it now. Yeah. And so you get him to third base, and who's coming up? Taylor Walls and Ben Rortvedt. Ben freaking Rortvedt. We had this discussion yesterday. There's no reason this dude should be on a major league roster. If you are a team employing Ben Rortvedt and his -9 OPS plus, 090 whatever batting average, can't throw anybody out, terrible defensively. If you still have him on your roster, you are an unserious baseball team. You are not serious about winning. Simple as that. And this guy keeps coming up in big situations, They had nobody else on the bench because, once again, we mismanaged the game. Once again, you put out this stupid-ass right-handed lineup against the left-hander that is worth less. It is absolutely stupid.
Why was Simpson not starting?
I don't – because, he's a left-handed hitter against a left-handed batter or left-handed
Bring him
pitcher.
in as a pinch runner. Think about what he could have done at the plate.
Well, they did at the end of the game. But he needs to be in the lineup. If he and Aranda are in the game, then you can bring Curtis Mead off the bench to bat for Ben Rortvedt, so you have a 140 hitter instead of a 096 hitter. I mean, it's ridiculous. These are not major league players. Get them the hell out of here. They're not. Curtis Mead is not a major league player. He should not be. Ben Rortvedt is not a major league player. He said, "Oh, but we're injured. I don't care. Get somebody up here who can at least have a shot at doing something."
Nobody's that injured.
Yeah, I mean, for God's sakes, it's just and Yandy Diaz was 2 for 4 last night, but he's hitting in with we're 1 for 11 runners in scoring position, 1 for 11 with runners on base in the final 3 innings. I mean, but when he's at the top of the lineup, look who's batting in front of him. All right, who's batting in front of him? Rortvedt, Meisner, Taylor Walls, 191. Curtis Mead, 175. Danny Jansen, 186. Yeah. What are the chances that anybody is going to be on base when he comes up and gets a hit? None. By the way, he gets an extra at-bat. Oh, he gets an extra at-bat to hit a single with nobody on. Great. That does a lot. A single would be nice if there are people on freaking base. Who's going to be on base with those guys at the bottom of the lineup? Nobody. But we're going to put him at the top of the lineup. Put Yandy Diaz in the 3-hole or the 4-hole or the 5-hole where he might have a chance of having someone on base when he gets a freaking hit. I mean, this is not rocket science. He's slow, but he gets the ball in play. Okay, let's get people in front of him that get on base, so when he comes up, the hit actually means something. Instead of constantly 0 for 11 with runners in scoring position, was that what it was last night? Oh, I'm sorry, 1 for 10. My bad. 10. 1 for 10. I mean, just brutal. And again, we had a guy, the tying run on third base, which, as Evan Klosky put on Twitter, there's a better chance of him stealing home than Taylor Walls or Ben Rortvedt getting him in. And Taylor Walls pops up a bunt. At least they tried to bunt him in. At least that was something. He pops up a bunt, and then Rortvedt is just, what a joke. Like, literally, they had a better chance of Simpson stealing home.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's a left-handed batter, so that makes it a lot easier for the catcher to get him out. But whatever. I mean, it's so frustrating watching this team. It's so frustrating watching this team. I mean, it's just, and again, the lineup. Caballero, Diaz, Caballero, Christopher Morel batting in the 3-hole.
At 204.
At 204. Hey, but he's got a 286 on base percentage.
And he goes 0 for 3 last night.
0 for 3. 0 for 3. How many runners in scoring? 0 for 1 with runners in scoring position.
By the way, Diaz, the only guy with multiple hits last night. He goes 2 for 4.
Yeah.
With a run scored.
With the runs, but he's not going to, you could, if he's in the 3-hole, maybe he's knocking somebody in.
Yeah.
You put Junior Caminero, Bilal, and if you have, first of all, Simpson's in the leadoff spot. I don't care. And now this, I would say, you could say, well, he maybe he was injured because of the face plant he did the other day. Well, he played in the game. If he can play in the game, he should start. He's at the top of your lineup. And he gets on base. Of the 2 at-bat, what he had, only had 1 at-bat because he came in as a pinch runner.
Right.
But he got on base. I don't care how he got on base. Catcher's interference, whatever.
Doesn't matter how you get on base.
Just get on base, which is what he's doing. And I think he's hitting like 435 in his last 6 games. Let's sit him down. Because there's a left-hander on the mound. He's in the open, and then Cabby, you want to put Cabby in the 2-hole, fine. Then you have Diaz in the 3-hole who gets 2 hits. And a good chance that Caballero or Simpson are going to be on base when he gets the freaking hits. Or maybe put Belau in front of him. But, I mean, it just makes no sense. And then the fact that Curtis Mead is in the lineup is a joke. It's an absolute joke. And Meisner, 0 for 2, 2 strikeouts. Thanks for playing. Mead, 1 for 4, 1 strikeout. Batting, what is he? He's at a robust 175 now, but he's slugging 190. So, get Aranda's hitting 309. Let's put Curtis Mead at first base. And I know the splits. I don't care what the splits are. If you're hitting as a right-handed hitter exclusively against left-handers and you're hitting 175, you suck. Get out of here. Get out of here. I don't mean it personally as a player. Get out of here. It's awful.
Well, and then you create some drama at the end of the game in the bottom of the 9th by getting Simpson on base. He steals third. You've got him at third base. You've still got an out to play with, and you don't even get the ball out of the infield. You pop up a bunt, and then you foul out to third. Yep. That's the most disheartening part of that. And Simpson's got, I know he's extremely young, but he's got to be sitting there already in his young pro career thinking, what do we got to do?
Suck.
What do we got to do?
Well, he's sitting there on third base with Taylor Walls and Ben Rorfek coming up. And I'm sure it went through his mind, I got to steal home to get this game tied. Yeah, you do. But there's just no reason, for these guys to be on the roster. And you're taking, and for Kevin Cash, what do you do? Like, I look at, even if you start Simpson and you put Mead on the bench, I can go to him at a pinch. He's awful,
Yeah, but do you want to?
but I'm used to that's why I want to have Aranda available. Well, he was a pinch hitter and he struck out. Put him in the damn lineup. He's still a young player. Let him figure out how to hit left-handers, for God's sakes. The guy's talented. He's got great bat-to-ball skills. I don't get this. You don't replace a 309 hitter with a 141 hitter or 175 now. You just don't. Stop doing it. It's ridiculous. And Yandy Diaz at the top of the lineup is just it's stupid. We get you an extra at-bat with nobody on. Who freaking cares? I don't understand it. I just don't get it.
I'm telling you,
what do you analytics geeks explain it to me? Because I don't understand it.
The way Cash is putting together the lineup and the way he's managing out there, I swear, and I'm not starting any conspiracy theories because they're already out there, but he's almost managing to lose on purpose. Like he's been told something.
No, I don't believe that.
I know, and I'm just saying that's
but
the way
it looks like it. It looks like
what other explanations are there? Like there aren't any.
Yeah. It looks like
bad
it doesn't make none of this stuff makes sense. Yeah. Just unbearable to watch at times. There's just no way that they're coming back to win the game. Not with these guys. Not with. Did you see that Astros bullpen? They got a 2.38 collective ERA. But that's the whole bullpen. Like, you're not scoring. You're not scoring. And not these guys.
And they're not very good either, to be honest with you. These are
Danny
not the Astros.
Danny Jansen hit a home run last night, 318 feet. Good for you, man. Good for you.
These aren't the Astros of 5 years ago, dominating the AL West and the American League and going to World Series to cheat their ways into championships. It's just not them.
And by the way, the constant booing of Altuve.
Oh, I love it.
I love it.
They do it in every stadium, JP. It is in every American League stadium. Actually, it's in every stadium. They do it in the NL too.
Even Brett BA last night was like, wasn't this over a few years ago?
No,
can we move on?
Nope, this will never be over.
I think it makes us look like an unsophisticated baseball population.
You got to hear it in our stadium here at Globe Life Field. Oh, it is. It's like he's coming up in the bottom of the 9th or the top of the 9th to strike out for the Rangers to win the AL. It It is so loud and so constant at the stadium here. Everyone hates Jose Altuve.
All right, I'm fine with it. Doctors should be prescribed anyone with insomnia issues to watch the Rays. Guarantee you'll fall asleep. I did last night. I did. It got me. I fell asleep.
It's like the Rays are just a big, long ASMR video.
Yeah, I had to rewind just to see what I missed. I'm literally going, why am I rewinding this? This is like, I know this is my job, but Jesus Christ. Like, I'm rewinding. Oh, let's go back 2 innings and watch them strike out some more. Like,
oh, boy.
No, not really. Just saw today Bucs linked to Justin Simmons. How you feel about that? I'll get into that a little bit. Taylor Walls and Ben Rortvedt are sabotaging this team. I'm convinced they can be someone as bad as this guy. Yeah, I kind of give Taylor Walls a pass because he's got, the second best WAR on the team because of his defensive abilities, and he's actually come up with some big hits despite his terrible numbers. So his WAR is not bad. So I'll keep that in mind. But these other guys are completely useless, and they should not be on a major league roster. And the only reason they're here is because they're cheap. Yeah. That's it. The only reason they're here is because they're cheap, and they're waiting on some other cheaper guys that are a little bit better to come back. That's it. We're not firing anybody. We're not moving anybody down. We're not doing anything that a real owner would do to put a charge into this team to get things going. Right. Nothing. We're just sitting there like, ooh, collect my money. Everybody bought season tickets. I'm making a ton of money selling $19 beers. We're good with my crappy payroll. Scott Rasnick says that's why the Yankees got rid of Rotbet, whatever he is. He's awful. Rays are difficult to watch, to say the least, says Elijah Berra. Yeah, difficult to watch. That's being kind. Good to see Chandler Simpson okay back out there, Mike H. Yep, absolutely. Good thing he didn't have a concussion. Of course, a concussed Chandler Simpson would be better than some of these other knuckleheads. Scott Rasnick says, going tonight. Hopefully we get a win. God, I hope so, Scotty. And hopefully it's an entertaining game. It was a beautiful night last night. God, what a beautiful night. Absolutely. I took a walk on Bayshore. Absolutely beautiful night, and to be at a baseball game. I was going to go last night, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah, like you don't even want to put the effort out, right?
Yeah.
Which sucks. Because, I was going to ask you, now that you've had this, a quarter of the season now in outdoor baseball, is even outdoor baseball, bad outdoor baseball, better than bad indoor baseball?
No, it's just bad baseball.
It's just bad baseball.
And if they continue this, I'm worried that, people are not going to show up. And already the people that bought the season tickets for 3 times what they were, priced at, and they're trying to sell their tickets, and they're taking a bath because the people aren't going to pay $120, which they paid for per seat, that were normally like $35 tickets or $50 tickets in Tropicana Field. That money's already been sent to Stu. So now these are on the secondary market, and they get about half of what they paid for it, which is still not bad. I mean, the $50 people are paying and they're going, but it's nobody wants it. As this team continues to struggle at home, people are going to go and they're going to spend a lot of money. They're going to walk out of there and going to go, God, this team's awful. It's nice to get an outdoor baseball game, but I would like a little entertainment for my money. This ain't entertainment. This is just frustration. Rick says, let's face it, JP, when the other team scores first, the Rays are done. The Stu voodoo is stronger than the chicken sacrifice. Probably we can overcome him. Throw analytics out the window, said Mike H. Yes, please. Rays can't F and bunt, which is little league skills. Yeah, they can't. When you have a low payroll, and when the Rays were successful, they played the game the right way. And you can't make these elementary mistakes that they make every day. Ben Rortvedt doesn't tag up on a fly ball the other night. Nobody out, bases loaded. We score nothing. You can't do that. You can't continue to make these ridiculous, stupid mistakes on the base paths, defensively. I mean, it's just, you can't do it, or you're just going to be a sub 500 team, which is what they are.
What do we preach, JP, in every sport? Doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the age. You preach fundamentals, right? It doesn't matter what level or anything, in what sport, basketball, football, especially baseball, you preach fundamentals. Laying down a bunt, tagging on a base. I mean, it's situational baseball comes second to fundamentals.
Right.
And I feel like they're not doing any of it very good right now.
Yeah. Here, Robert Williams says Aranda's 240 against lefties, and Mead is 175, and he can't hit, and he has no power. What? What are we doing? What are we doing? Are we trying to justify a trade? Like, why would you continue to do this? You're dying to win at home, and you continue to put this guy in the lineup in Rortvedt. It's mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. Bucs Rays both. Do you think rules changed today for playoffs? I don't know. We're going to talk about the NFL in a little bit.
Yeah.
How long does Neander stick around? I can't imagine. I don't know why he's still here. I don't know why anybody would work for this guy. I really don't. I have no idea why you would. When you're Eric Neander, you could pretty much name your job, I think. And why you would continue to work here, I have no idea. You know, I love living in Tampa Bay. I think it's a great place to live, but I couldn't work under those circumstances. No way. James says, all I heard was dominating pitching staff, and I actually thought the Rays might have some hope, but if you can't hit a beach ball, you can't win regardless of pitching. Beyond disappointing. Yeah, and the guy that went last night, great local story, Colton Gordon, grew up at St. Pete, pitched at HCC. Just a great local story. Grew up going to Rays games, and he's probably happy he didn't get the pitch at the Trop. But he comes in, and he was good last night, but he's not, it's a second start. It's a second start, and he made a lot of the Rays hitters look foolish. You should be jumping on that guy, with all due respect to his wonderful family here in St. Pete. Mario Christian, good morning to you, said the Astros are beatable. The Rays could have had 5 runs last night. Oh, easy.
Yeah, they're
easy.
not good.
They just can't. Well, they don't get runners with hits with runners in scoring position because of these stupid lineups we put out there. These are insane lineups. Douglas Batista said, I bought a 20-game pack, overpaid, awful product to watch. How much did you pay, Doug? Just wondering what the 20-pack was per seat, if you can give me that number. Cody, the Rays fans sounded loud on TV last night. Yeah, it's a great atmosphere, man. When they get it going, it's a great atmosphere to watch a game. It's such a beautiful park. You're right on top of it. It's awesome. But, if you keep, what are they, 11-14 at home now? No, sorry. They're way worse than that. I got the numbers here. At home, they've scored 3 or fewer runs 16 of the 29 games. 16 of the 29 games, they've scored 3, and they're 2-14 in those games. 2-14.
It doesn't seem like it's enough.
Yeah. And they're 11-18 at home. And here's the weird part. Their ERA on the road at home is 3.87. At home, it's 3.79. They score 4 runs a game away from 3.79 at home and 4 on the road. 3.7. So the splits are very even. They're negligible. But the home numbers are inflated by the 16 runs and 10 runs they scored like in 2 games. And so most of the games they're scoring 3 runs, and it's just not going to be good enough because the pitching staff hasn't been great.
Yeah.
So you don't pitch that well. You can't hit crap. You got no situational hitting, and that's why they're lucky to have won as many games as they are, to be quite honest. They really are.
How'd they ever win 21?
Scott Rassick said tickets are selling for $100+ for the June 7th Longoria celebration. Yeah, they should be.
Well, that would be worth going to.
Yeah. I mean, that's a historic thing. Rays most tanking season. I don't know why they would tank. It doesn't make sense to me. So I know it's a cute storyline, but it doesn't make any sense. They'll win 75-80, says James. Nothing of an offseason. This will never end until MLB forces Stu to sell. Yeah, there it is. There it is. This is what it is. And it's, I wish, I know some of you are tired of hearing about it, but it is what it is. It's our major league team. We got to talk about them. Even if it's frustrating. If people want to listen to it, they want to talk about it. We get tons of viewers when we're talking about it. I would, I hope they turn it around. Nathan Elliott says, losing team, rising temperatures, getting into rain weather. Look out, football season is coming. Rays can't compete across the street from the Buccaneers. I know. And I know all these people getting upset about the conflict in game. The Rays are going to move their games. All right. We don't need to talk about this. The Rays will, if they don't move their games, there'll be nobody there because nobody's going to have a place to park because the Bucs are going to have priority. So they'll move the games to later, and it's not, it'll be a fun thing to go to a Bucs game and then go to a Rays game. That'll be cool. Let's just do that and stop bitching about the traffic.
Go get liquored up at the Bucs game enough so that when you get to the Rays game, you can have fun and not care what happens.
Right. Have a plan. Make it involve alcohol. Blacking out.
It's always
better
better.
to get to the Rays game. Yes, Merry Christmas says the Rays have to figure out how to beat lefty starters. Yeah, they have to figure out a lot of things. Douglas says, makes no sense. They don't start around and then pinch hit against the lefty. Yeah. That's the other thing. Well, we still have them to pinch hit. Well, they're just going to match up with a lefty with their great bullpen. I don't know what Cash is doing. I can't believe it's him. I just can't believe it. I can't believe he's. I'm sorry.
I'm telling you, we know he's not tanking, but there is no other logical explanation for this. He's a better manager than this.
Well, I mean, at some point you got to resign.
Maybe that's
if
what
this
he's
is what they're
for.
making you do. They're making you look stupid, Kevin Cash, and you're not.
Resign
You're a great manager. You're a great guy. But if this is what they're forcing you to do at gunpoint, then resign. But it's like, really? I'm making $3-4 million a year. That would be stupid. Yeah, you're right. You just do it, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. None of it makes sense because of the owner. That's it. And that's the problem. We can bitch and moan about everything else. Hunter Tubbs says Taylor Walls has a career batting average of 188 over 379 games, placing him among the lowest for players with over 1,000 Major League era, and he starts every game. But his WAR is 2 point something, I think. We just stopped watching the Rays, stop buying tickets. If they do that, should go on strike. Fans deserve better. I don't disagree. I don't know. I want to support the team because if we do that, then they say, oh, the fans are horrible. Nobody understands the we hate the owner argument, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and outside the market. Douglas says I paid $2,250 per seat, bought two, so $4,500. Section 106, row NN. Those are good seats. I don't know, Doug. Did you have the same at Tropicana Field? I wonder, how much. It seems like those are double the price. So that's That's over. What's that, like 150 a pop? 130 a pop? Alex, do the math on that. 2250 divided by 81, if you could. Intern Alex is here doing numbers. Yeah, 2250 per seat. And that's not even, you don't even pay for parking or anything else.
It's $27.77.
Whoa. $277 a ticket? Holy shizbang. That ticket was, I think, it couldn't have been, 106 row NN. That ticket's what, $45 in the Trop?
No, you said $2,250 divided by 81 games?
Yeah.
So that's $27.
No. Is that right? Maybe I'm wrong. So $2,250.
You said there was no math on this job.
Well, should be but a bunch of idiots should be doing this in the break.
Yeah, 81 times 27.
Oh my God, we are just idiots. Now my freaking calculator won't work.
That's what the
2250 divided by 81. 81. Oh, I'm sorry. He has a 20 game pack. That's what the dumbasses are. That's what I knew it was like 200. Yeah. So only 20. Okay. It's divided by 20. Dumbasses. Do that, Alex.
$112.50.
Okay, $112.50. God, we're morons. Flip that.
They said there was no math in this job.
So $107. Okay. So that's on a ticket that I think is usually like $45, $50. So yeah. And so look, and Stu's making plenty of money. Yeah. For 20 games. Yeah. Okay. It does not include food or parking. So yeah, that's a huge, and I know you're doing that for your son, and that's awesome, Doug. I know it's important to you.
It's an investment.
Yeah. So that's money well spent, when it's father and son and doing that. So I get that, but it's still, he's soaking you. But it is what it is. The product is awful. That's the problem. The product is just god-awful. And I don't see it getting any better. I mean, hopefully we can get Rohrfed and Mead out of the lineup, and when these other guys come back, and they're close to coming back. So, but that doesn't preclude Josh Lowe getting injured again, or Brandon Lau getting injured again, or somebody else getting injured again. It's just, it just comes down to when you don't spend money on players, this is what you get. And the Rays have gotten away with it and won for a lot of their time, for the recent, 15 years under, or what is it, 20 years under Sternberg. But it seems to me a lot of teams have caught up now, and they figured out what they're doing, and and you weren't going to be able to do this every year. It's a non-sustaining model. You could pull it off for a couple of years. You get some things that go your way, but it's a non-sustaining model, and it's a non-championship model. You can get to the playoffs, but you're not winning anything. So I don't know.
By the way, you
frustrating.
You put this up on the screen earlier, but you didn't read it. I want to make sure that we recognize More Right Rudder. Finally got his hat. You're very welcome, More Right Rudder.
Yes.
From Plano, Texas. Hope you represent it well.
Thank you. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a winner and a champion, Simeon Rice. What a day yesterday at One Buck Place. Very emotional. As always, Sim never disappoints when he's talking. He's the best in the business. Love that guy. So we'll talk about Simeon Rice, a winner and a winning franchise. When we come back, we're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group. We're in the Jeeves Law Group studio today in beautiful South Tampa. JEEVESlawgroup.com. If you're involved in an accident, they are your first call. Go to the website, contact them, email them, call them, whatever you need to do. They'll take care of everything for you if you're involved in an accident. Great folks over here. Size does matter, and you don't want a huge, huge law firm that does not represent you and make you important. You want one that's just right.
Does size matter?
It does. It does matter. You don't want it to be too big. Too big can be a problem.
I agree.
Just right.
I'll never know.
That's where the Jeeves Law Group fits in, right there. Perfect fit. Big enough to fight them, small enough to make you important. That's what we're talking about. The JeevesLawGroup.com, non-attorney spokesman, offices Tampa and St. Pete. Back at 3. Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays! JP here for Riveters, our new official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. And just like our show, no BS, no corporate chain feel, just amazing, authentic folks serving great comfort food in a casual atmosphere at unheard of prices. Riveters is located just south of Raymond James and Steinbrenner Field on Dale Mabry, walking distance to the park, so free parking, great place for pregame and postgame. Let's talk about fresh food. Nothing is frozen. Burgers, wings, prime rib, roasted fresh daily, never frozen. That makes a huge difference. The mahi, the salmon, also super fresh. All our sauces are original recipes made in-house. Our Warhawk chili and fully loaded potato soup is made fresh in-house. It's the best food anywhere, served by people who actually care. Riveters on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of where the Bucs and Rays play. We'll see you there. Are you looking to renovate your home, rebuild after the hurricanes, or build your dream home from scratch? Well, let me tell you about my friend Jason Fawcett and On-Site Construction. They have over 1,450 satisfied clients, 25 years of experience, over 500 designs, and a talented team of over 40 construction professionals. They believe building something exceptional begins by truly focusing on all the details, even the smallest ones. We understand that construction can be a daunting process, and we're here to make it as smooth and stress-free as possible. Quality is non-negotiable at On-Site Construction. We use the finest materials, employ the most skilled tradespeople, and adhere to the highest industry standards to deliver a product we're proud of and that you're going to love. Our project management is meticulous with a focus on completing projects on time and on budget. Your happiness is our primary driver. So give us a call at 813-579-5789 or check out our incredible website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the winning franchise portion of the show. This is the JP Peterson Show. Thank you guys for joining us. Remember, if you ever miss the live show, you can always listen to us as a podcast, on Apple, Spotify. You can always go to YouTube, Twitter, wherever you want to go. And you can get us. FanStreamSports.com will work as well. Thank you guys for joining us each and every day. We love you. TJ Reed's going to join us at 11 o'clock and get some more light on the great Simeon.
Nice.
How about that? We are brought to you by the great folks at the Gold and Diamond Source. They are doubling your trade-in value up to $5,000. So if you have you bought the Gold and Diamond Source, you want a ring, you want to bring it back, up to $2,500 gets you $5,000. So they give you up to $2,500. They'll double it to $5,000. That trade-in value. So great time to go to the Gold and Diamond Source. And gold's at like $3,000 an ounce. More math on the show. Take in your old.
No one can even know that.
Yeah, and make some money on that deal. Yeah. How about that? That's crazy. It was $300 an ounce when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was, because we used to, we'd find jewelry from time to time at the bottom of the, and when I cleaned out the filter of the water slide.
Yeah.
And if we'd put it up front, and if nobody came and picked it up, he'd be like, okay, take it down to the store.
If I still had all the jewelry I bought my ex-wives, JP,
oh my Lord,
I could cash that in right now and I'd be a rich man.
Yeah.
Or had I was going
to put up another comment on the Rays, but I'm just going to move on. I know I'm not going to submit you guys. Maybe we'll do it later on in this show. Come back to it, but right now, we'll talk about Simeon Rice. So he's going into the Ring of Honor, 16th player. Yesterday, he did his press conference. Brian Glazer, who, by the way, was very nice, said we were talking a little bit afterwards, and he's like, he goes, JP, you're a pot stirrer. He goes, I go, oh, you listen to the show? He goes, oh, yeah, listen all the time. He said, he goes, I love the way you keep the conversation going, and you like to stir the pot. He goes, but you do it in a funny way. I'm like, thanks. Appreciate that, Brian. So shout out to Brian Glazer. But he ran through all the numbers for Simeon Rice, the 122.5 sacks, 8 years in a row, double-digit sacks, one of only 3 players in NFL to do that during that time, and the other guys are in the Hall of Fame. Most of his numbers compare to Hall of Fame, but for whatever reason, he's just probably because the Bucs have enough of those defensive players in there, and they're not going to give them more than the Steelers had and some of these other great defenses. So that's kind of the way it works, and Simeon's the odd man out. And at one point, he's come on the show a lot over the years. He was really pissed off about it, but then he kind of just let it go. And he kind of explained it yesterday. It's like, it's not, my parents passed in 2015 and 2016. It didn't really matter to me anymore. I chased it all my life, and I just kind of, Evelyn and Henry were their names. And yesterday he got super emotional. And this was not something that you would expect from Simeon Rice. and he said this, a lot of people thought it came easy to me because of the way I look. And let me tell you what, this guy, the Lord made Simeon Rice to be an edge rusher. I mean, 6'7", just this chiseled Adonis, and the work ethic that is MJ-like. One of his heroes, he grew up in Chicago. He had that Michael Jordan work ethic, dedication, and competitive drive. You combine that with a literally an organism like made for rushing the passer, a 7-foot wingspan, 6'7", a nonstop motor. This guy would work out till 10:30 at night if it was a night practice. If it was a day practice, he'd be out there till it was dark. It was unbelievable how this guy would work. And you combine that with a incredible artistic, creative mentality. I mean, he had the body, the drive, the competitive fight, and he combined that with a creative mind, which I think creative minds make the best pass rushers in my estimation. Those guys are just built differently, unless you're Reggie White and you just hump move people. You don't need to be too creative when you're that big and strong. But Simeon did it. He was an artist. He was an artist at what he did, and watching him play was fun. He told so many great stories yesterday. But I apologize for the audio, but I just want you to get a feel for the emotion. It's Simeon I've known him for 20 plus years, and he's a happy-go-lucky guy, never too emotional, doesn't take anything too seriously at all. And to see him get this emotional was startling, absolutely startling and wonderful in the same breath. So this was Sim just after Brian brought him up to the podium, and he was getting ready to speak. Again, apologies for the audio. I'm going to take it back to the beginning. Here we go. For those of you listening to the podcast, he's holding his heart, fighting back the tears. It was.
I don't know if I really ever reconciled my father passed away.
And so what he said there was, I've never really reconciled my parents passing. And then he went on to say that, he played for the love of the game, the competitiveness, wanted to be great. And he wanted to put that shine on his name, on his parents' name, because they worked so hard and did everything for him. And he grew up in, a rough part of South Chicago. But they, parents keeping kids like that out of the gangs, it ain't easy. It's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of sacrifice to keep your kid on the straight and narrow. And it's hard to do, especially when you're as charismatic as Sim is. Every gang wanted a piece of him, I'm sure, right? To keep him in school, focused on doing it, that's a Herculean effort. And I think all those emotions just kind of boiled over and bubbled up, and he couldn't hold it back. And it was wonderful to see. It was wonderful to see how much it meant to him. And he had his little son there, James. He was, I think, 3 years old. He just kept, like Simeon after practice. He kept, like, when Simeon was doing the one-on-ones afterwards, when we all broke off, he was up there on the stage just running in circles, just nonstop, it's like Sim used to run 40s after practice in the heat and over in Disney World and training camp. His son, I'm like, yeah, he's wired just like you, Sim. And he saw his son was looking at, they played the highlights, and his son was like, wow, that's you, Daddy. And I don't know if he'd ever seen that, to be quite honest. And Sim was just kind of like, yeah, this is my life now, his family. My son is everything. And I love being a dad. He went into the movie business, produced a couple of movies, got him into theaters, and just did that thing and did great at it. They're wonderful movies. If you haven't seen them, go watch them. He's a very, very competent and creative and maybe a little bit too artsy for a lot of people, but he's a super brilliant guy. And, yesterday he talked about the Warren Sapp. When he first got here, Sapp was not a welcoming force. Yeah. Sapp was, was jealous. He was jealous of Simeon, and they went at it. They went at it a lot. He talked about it. is like, when he first called, he's supposed to be at a dinner when they were doing the free agent recruiting, and Sapp didn't show up, but he called him. He's like, where you at, dog? You coming to dinner? He says, where are you? So I'm at the dinner. Where are you? I'll call you later, and didn't show up. And then when they started playing together, he would call him out, and it was rough. It was rough going for a while. They did not get along. And finally, Sapp, respected his game, saw what he was doing, and saw, well, wow, this guy could really put us over the top. And, the same way Gruden came in and gave this great defense and offense that could win a Super Bowl, I think this defense needed that shot in the arm. And Brian Glazer mentioned that yesterday. And he was the missing piece because they didn't really have that, that dominant edge rusher.
Yeah.
And you go and you look at the numbers and they're off the charts, 16 and a half sacks, but in one of his years, but he was more than that. How many sacks did he chase into Warren Sapp? A lot. And vice versa. Those guys work together tremendously well, but you had to have the other, and they never really had that. And Sim was that missing piece on defense that made them absolutely dominant. You go look at those numbers. I think they averaged giving up 10 points a game in the Super Bowl season. 10 points a game. And they scored, I think, 9 touchdowns in the regular season and another 5 in the postseason. I think they had 37 interceptions. The numbers on that defense are just unbelievable. And they finally got an offense with Gruden to make him win a Super Bowl. So, but Sim was that guy. He was, and he talked about the breadth, the killers. He called them. He said they had the magic sauce, sauce, and they were, and they just, and that brought it all together. And he's going into the Ring of Honor. Will he get into the Hall of Fame? I think this is kind of timed so that I think he's going to come up for the Veterans Committee in a couple of years. I think once he goes into the Ring of Honor, I don't think you can go into the Hall of Fame until your team puts you in the Ring of Honor. So I think this is the first step. Will he get it? I don't know. The Hall of Fame is weird in that way. We've had Sal Palantonio, who's a big voice in the room, come on and say Simeon absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. So they've got Sal's vote. They've got Ira Kaufman's vote. So maybe, it took a while for John Lynch to get in. I think 8 or 9 ballots. It took a while for Rondé to get in. Mm-hmm. So sometimes it just takes some time and for people to realize the greatness. But I think as time goes on, they're going to realize that Simeon belongs in the Hall of Fame, and he's a Hall of Fame dude. Mm-hmm. And, he's been very kind to me, been on the show many times, and we'll get him on at some point this week when we nail him down. But he's a free spirit. Yeah. It's like he said to Brian, like, I know Brian calls me to do stuff all the time, and I don't always get back to him, but he eventually does. He'll take care of his business.
I had a couple of things I took away from that press conference, watching the video and reading some of the quotes is number one, the humility.
Yeah.
He's humble while extremely confident at the same time. For instance, and he is 100% loyal to Chicago, where he grew up. He loves Chicago, and he still loves Chicago.
Yeah.
When they asked him the greatest defense of all time, well, the media and everybody's looking for, it was us, 01, the 01 Bucs. No, that's not what he said. He said, and he thought about it. He said, respectfully, I think we're number 2 all time, right behind the 85 Bears. I think it's the Bears and then us, which probably surprised a lot of people, right? But he's probably right. I mean, I don't know who considers that 01 Bucs defense to be above the Bears 85 defense, but it certainly deserves to be up there. And then he talked about when he was talking to Rich McKay during the free agency period before he signed in 01, he told Rich McKay, if you bring me down, you will be in the Super Bowl either this year or next year. Trust me. He said, I could tell. He said, I watched the Bucs play the Rams in that game. And he's talking about the 99 NFC Championship game that the Bucs lost. He said, if I would have been playing, you would have won that game.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He comes in and they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. He was right.
He was right, man.
He was right.
You gotta love that. And you know what? GMs look for that tenacity. Coaches look for that tenacity. And you know, I don't know what was going on with him and the Cardinals. I don't know why they decided not to keep him.
Because they were the Cardinals at the time.
You know, I was going to say, you know, it's either a thing that they're going to cardinal the Cardinals, or it was a money thing.
It was a money thing.
Yeah, because back then
they didn't pay anybody. That old owner. What was his name? Started with a B. I forget. Yeah, he's just terrible. Cheap personified. Bidwell. Yes, thank you.
But it's Bill Bidwell. But you know, what a gem for the Bucs to get, and then for him to become part of the culture over there. And you know what? We're going to be saying the same thing about Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
you know, here in a few years when his career is over, and
believe it or not, when as I was here, obviously when they signed Simeon, I believe Rich McKay gave him a $20 million bonus, which was unheard of, and the Glazers, you know, had to pay that cash.
Right.
So that was, I think he had a $37 million contract, but I believe it was a $20 million bonus. And there were people like, oh my God, what are we paying this guy for? You know, like, what are you
found out real quick.
Yeah.
And he had a pretty consistent career too. You know, he made 2 Pro Bowls with the Cardinals. He made 2 Pro Bowls with the Bucs afterwards.
One All Pro, Super Bowl, which he could have easily been the Super Bowl MVP.
Yeah,
easily. Yeah. He dominated that game. He dominated. In fact, he dominated the playoffs. He had a strip sack in all the games in the playoffs against San Francisco, against Philadelphia, and in the Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, that's, talk about dominating. And then those are game-changing plays, which brings us to the current Buccaneers. By the way, the offensive coaches are doing interviews today, so we may have some quotes as we go through the show about that. So we'll bring that to you after we talk to TJ, or maybe during. So we'll definitely keep you updated on that. But there's the argument right now, and you went out and got Hassan Reddick. Now, is Hassan Reddick Simeon Rice? No. But his numbers, oddly enough, very similar in the last 5 years. So double-digit sacks every year except last year when,
throw out last year for Reddick. I don't even want to hear about his year with the Jets.
He's not Simeon Rice, but he brings that element off the edge that we have not had. So to go with this offense, it's kind of different. Because back then we needed an offense to go with that defense. Now we need a defense to go with this offense, right? So what's that secret sauce? What's that going to be? That edge rusher. That edge rusher, you got to have it. And I mean, a lot of people are like, well, Trey Hendrickson's going to be very expensive. And I don't think the Bucs are doing that. They've got, Hassan Reddick's their guy. But whoever gets him is going to get a hell of a player.
And by the way, the Bengals are doing their best to screw that whole thing up right now.
They're not going to pay him.
Very best.
They're not going to pay him. They're not going to pay him. There's no way but they got to find a trade partner who's willing to give up the trade capital and the money.
And then pay him. Yeah. And
then pay him. And it's hard. And at 30 years old, if he wants a 5-year deal, that's going to be hard to do.
Maybe he can go back. Maybe he can go back to the Saints.
I hope
not. And a lot of people forget he was drafted by the Saints and spent a lot of time in New Orleans and kind of mired around in mediocrity a little bit.
I don't think they were playing him as an edge rusher, were they?
I don't know.
Weren't they playing him inside or something?
Might have been playing tackle. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not sure they used him as an edge rusher, which is weird.
They screw that up.
Yeah, looking at his build, he's built for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was so fun to watch him play. It was even more fun to talk to him after practices. He brought such an edge to that team. They didn't bring up the Gruden stuff. When he left, when Gruden cut him, he was pissed. He was like, Gruden. He was not happy with Gruden. And nobody brought that up yesterday. Well, rightfully so. No, we don't need to talk about that. But
are they going to put his name right next to Gruden's in the Ring of Honor?
Maybe.
Funny would that be?
Well, they got to go. They're out of room on the far side.
Yeah.
So they got to go up. Gruden. They're going to be on the same side. So I usually put them next to each other. So maybe they'll start at one end, put Sim at one end, and put Gruden at the other end. So
So when they took Gruden out of the Ring of Honor, they took his name down, right? Like it wasn't just covered up. Like they just took it down and then they replaced it with somebody, I'm assuming, because there's a blank spot.
No, it was Bruce Arians. Bruce Arians.
Put Arians up there. So then when they re-inducted him, they had to put it back up, but in a new spot, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's back up.
Well, you would think so if he's back in the Ring of Honor.
Well, I don't know if they've officially.
They haven't inducted him yet?
Well, they're not going to have a ceremony. I think it's going to be more quiet. I think when we show up this year, it's going to be up there. That's what I think.
Huh.
I don't think there's going to be a ceremony or anything like that. They're just going to quietly.
Because they said in February he's back in the Ring of Honor, but they're not going to redo the whole displaying the name and the halftime thing against.
They may do something. They may do something like make him I don't think they want to talk about it, to be quite honest. I think they just want to do it, and that's fine.
So yeah, you show up one week and his name's just there. Like that's.
And by the way, if we've not said this before, shout out to the Glazers. Shout out to the Glazers because those emails took shots at them, and they said, "You know what? The fans want him up there. The fans want him overwhelmingly. They want him up there. We'll eat this one for the fans." And good on them. I'm not saying it's the right or wrong decision. I think it's the right decision. I mean, there's no way do you condone what was in those emails. And anyway, that's bad stuff. That's bad stuff.
Yeah.
And when I hear people say, "Oh, everybody," no, we don't. I don't write emails like that. I would never write an email like that. I'm not saying
not
I'm
even drink beer with your buddy,
but I don't do that. I don't write that stuff. I don't say.
So JP, I found this. Apparently, this is where his name was.
Yeah, and I think Arians.
So now Arians is there.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah,
that makes sense.
So I think Gruden and Rice will go up on the other side. Yeah, but that's. I don't think a lot of owners would do that.
No,
I think their ego would not let them. But they showed deference.
Glazers have never been accused of having overinflated, gigantic egos anyway.
No, they're great. They're great people. I know they got a lot of bad press early on. Stadium stuff, and that's ancient history, man. They have been nothing but awesome owners. And the other night, Brian Ford came out and and Casey Phillips did a presentation at the Tampa Sports Club, and Casey got up there because Brian didn't want to do it because might look self-serving. So he got Casey up there to do it, and highlighted everything they're doing in the community. Not everything, but a lot of the things. Mm-hmm. And I was just like. She spent 20 minutes talking about this, and it wasn't boring. It was like, this is what we're doing for flag football. She is football convention they just had, which was overwhelmingly successful. The flag football thing they're doing for the girls, the Glazers eye clinic that they do, Glazer Vision, the social justice things they're doing, and they're doing it at targeting, minority kids and doing really positive things for them. They've done what they do in the community is outstanding. It really is. And the Glazers put a lot of money into it. They put their money where their mouth is. They don't just do these half-ass events. And when they're doing these flag football events, the girls get everything the players get. The trainers are out there, the Gatorade, water, all that stuff. And that's, stuff ain't cheap. And they make a commitment to it. And they've done a phenomenal job with all of that stuff. So very, very impressive.
Nice.
All right. Speaking of very impressive, the man is in. The great TJ Reeves is here. Part of that Bucs organization that we were just fawning over. Yesterday was a great deal with Simeon Rice.
Yes.
Were you in the back of the room? I don't know. I was in the front of the room.
I was not there. You were present. I was not accounted for on that. However, I look forward to Simeon Rice getting honored later this year. Not coincidentally against his old team, the Cardinals. Of course, there can't be that much animus, and we're talking about 25 years ago.
No,
that they wouldn't pay him, and the Buccaneers would pay him.
Yeah, thanks to Bidwell being cheap. Right?
Hey, I've often said this, and you guys love this. Sometimes you do things on your own. Sometimes you do things through the stupidity and idiocy of others. And so if the Cardinals don't want that guy and you do, it's kind of like Leonard Fournette on the eve of the Super Bowl season in 2020. Jacksonville cut him, got nothing for him, and he helped the Buccaneers win a Super Bowl. So
yeah, we didn't even have to trade for Simeon.
no,
right?
no, it was a free agent deal that Rich McKay was able to do. So
wasn't it a $20 million bonus?
Something guaranteed.
There were like people were like, "Oh, that's too much for Simeon Rice." Remember that?
This is at a time in which nobody was getting $15 million.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks weren't, much less a defensive lineman, a pass rusher. So I remember that whole time period. And you love me for a lot of reasons.
Yes.
Timmy, I'm glad you're safe after the other night with all the craziness with the storms.
Thank you very much.
I'm glad you're good on that front.
It was scary. It went right over my house.
Yeah, the tornadic activity.
Did you have a tornado go by your house?
Yeah.
Right over the top of my house.
Holy shiz, how did I miss that?
All of my lawn furniture is gone.
So who do you bill?
And two of the dogs.
How do you? I was going to say, good Lord.
Well, they were with me.
How do you bill that? Who do you invoice on? Hey, I need new lawn furniture. What does that go under?
I just find somebody's I like in the neighborhood and I just go steal it. No.
Or the other thing is that because it's a swirl, maybe somebody else's lawn furniture ended up in your area, and you can just
didn't happen. But I still don't know where mine is.
It's like Simeon Rice. Yeah.
Yeah. So Planet Simeon. All right. So you love me for the stories. So the Bucs signed him as a free agent in 2001, and I'm working for the flagship radio station at that time, doing 5-day-a-week sports radio on the old 1010 The Team. You and I have talked about this before, and that's the Buccaneers flagship. So they end up doing a deal for a Simeon Rice radio show. All right, and I had met him in and around the press conference. He sort of knew who I was, hi, hello. I think I had him on the radio in and around the time that we signed. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But I will testify here at the altar of the FanStream JP show. I was the host of the inaugural Simeon Rice radio show.
Oh,
and
wow.
you love these. I'm talking about the very first one, because we had not figured out, was I going to do the show every week? Was somebody else on Buccaneers radio going to do it? I think our man Ronnie Night Train Lane ended up being the full-time host. He'll have to tell you that part of the story, but I'm the host for the first show, and they had done the show. We'll give them a free plug because they've been in bankruptcy and who knows how much longer they're going to be around. Red Lobster for the seafood lover and you. Red Lobster had bought the Simeon Rice show live. All right, so we go to the Red Lobster, and I'm there probably about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something before the show. It's 10 till he's not there. It's 5 till he's not there. We finally confirm he's on the way. There's some Buck fans that are there. I'd love to tell you there was 100 there. There was, 3. There was probably a dozen, maybe 15. And of course, they want autographs. They want pictures. So he comes in, and I get to know him. I get to talk to him for a couple of minutes. And I said, one of the first things that I always do with this role, especially when it's a new guy, is I say, listen, I am not the media. We talked about this all the time.
Yeah.
That I am not here to put you on trial and to find out why you sucked in Arizona and why the Bucs would want you. It's my job here to just talk to you about being with the Buccaneers and a new start and a new situation with Tony Dungy. And, oh, by the way, you're going to get to play with Warren Sapp and Derek Brooks and John Lynch and Rondé Barber. I mean, he had to feel like, is this heaven or is this Iowa in the cornfield that he gets to come play with this team? All right, so just to wrap up the story, the show begins, and I mean, we talked about everything except Buccaneer football.
Exactly.
As you know, I see you nodding.
Yes.
So we talked about where he lived in Arizona and how a dry heat is different than humidity. And he started trying to explain the difference in humidity. And I'm going along with it. And then we talked about, he talked about growing up in Chicago and being cold and snow. I'm just remembering it came back to me watching him yesterday and how emotional he was about all of this. He started talking about watching great pass rushers, talking about Lawrence Taylor and Bruce Smith and all of his contemporaries. And then he started talking about basketball, and we started talking about the NBA.
Oh, yeah.
We started talking about the NBA on the show. He's a big basketball guy because he and Sapp had gotten into arguments about the Orlando Magic and the Shaq Magic versus his like Michael Bulls or the Phoenix Suns where he had been. JP, I swear to you, for at least 30 minutes, I don't know the first 30 minutes that we talked about Buccaneer football or anything.
Probably not.
And then we started talking about alien life, and we started talking about all kinds of And I'm looking at my ball, and I'm looking at him, and we're just letting him go. Planet Simeon, we're letting him go on that. Now, gradually, we warmed up, and we talked a little bit about, hey, it's pretty cool. You're going to play next to Warren Sapp on the Buccaneer defense. And what about Tony Dungy and Monty Kiffin's defense? So I'm just saying to you that the first Simeon Rice, and I think he did shows for a couple of years back in that time frame, like 01 and 02. I was the guinea pig. I was the guy that went out there the first time with Simeon on. So I still remember we were doing a preseason game. All right, later that summer. This show was probably an August show, and it may have been like later that week or the next week. We have a preseason game, and I'm doing the preseason game hosting for Channel 44. I think it was the first season. This may have been the second season. Actually, it was probably the second season. It's the last year that Channel 44 had the preseason games before Channel 8 got them. And I was the preseason host. And our buddy, the coach, Doug Graber, is part of the broadcast. And he is down interviewing players with me during the game as players came out of the game as an extra role to be an analyst. So Graber comes over and he's talking to Simeon Rice, and he has the headset on and the mic, and I can't hear the interview. I just see them talking. And so we get done, and he says bye to him. Simeon doesn't have the pads on. He's not playing in the game, so this had to be like the first game. And I said, how did it go? He goes, I don't understand a damn thing that he was talking about. He goes, I asked him about the defense, and I don't know about the answer. And he goes, I asked him about rushing off the edge, and he started talking about heat and humidity again. And he goes, I don't know what he was talking about.
And the funny part,
we love him for that, though. Bravo, we love him for that.
Well, here's a quick story. So we used to go and get sound bites from everybody after practice, right? So we go, me and Bob Hansen, Channel 8, we go get, we'd stop Simeon, and he's like, "What's up, brother? What's up? How you doing? How you living?" And then we start talking, and then I'd ask him a couple football questions, and he'd start going off on Planet Simeon. I'm like, and I turn to Hansen, I go, God,
do we have anything we can use?
Soundbite, bro. I'm like, we're not gonna be able to use. So, and I don't even know what the hell he just said. Like, and then I go back and I'd start editing it, and I'm like, oh, this makes perfect sense now. Like when I had to play it 3 times, but every word he used was spot on. And I thought he was just spewing big words to make himself sound like he was smart or something. I'm like, holy crap, he brought that all together.
Yes, and I just thought of something else. He's big, and I think still into Star Wars. Yeah, all right? Yeah. And he showed up, and he gave gifts of like lightsabers to all of the defensive linemen and stuff. And we started talking about Star Wars at the Red Lobster. They got the tank with all the death row inmate lobsters that are in the front lobby. And we got
man, that lobster. Imagine what's going through that lobster's head.
Exactly.
Right,
we're talking about everything, but you just jogged me that he started talking Star Wars because one of the movies had been out that summer or whatever. But it was great. But now on to what he meant on the field. I think the argument can be made that, they had amazing players, but he was as valuable as anybody off of that right edge in that Buccaneer, Tony Dungy, Monty Kiffin defense. The dude was an amazing pass rusher for that 5 or 6 years of his heyday here, which you back it up to the last 2 or 3 years in Arizona. He was as menacing as Bruce Smith or as Michael Strahan, his contemporaries coming off the end of the line of scrimmage. You could have given him the MVP of Super Bowl 37. Dexter Jackson got it for the 2 interceptions in the first half, but Simeon Rice had a couple of sacks. He had another sack on the 2-point play that they don't officially count, by the way, as an official sack in the game stats. Yeah. He sacked Gannon on a 2-point play in the third quarter of the game. So he essentially had 3 sacks in the Super Bowl, and
that was a strip sack.
Yes, he was menacing off the end in those wins over Philadelphia or over the Rams or over the 49ers in the playoff games, the divisional games, because remember the division switched. His second year in 2002 is when the division switched. So he was terrorizing like Jake Delhomme of the Panthers, and I can't even remember who that was Vic in Atlanta. He and Derek Brooks clobbering and Sapp clobbering Michael Vick. And then the Saints every week. Simeon had close to 70 sacks with the Buccaneers. I think it was like 68.5, 69 and a half, whatever it was. So great on him that he's in the Ring of Honor. And I love that we get to do this where you can't tell the story of the great Buccaneer defense of the late 90s and the early 2000s without that guy, JP.
No question. It was a brilliant move by Rich McKay. And it put, because people were like, why are you spending money on the defense? Like, you got to do something with this offense. But he knew that, hey, they had to have, that was the missing piece. So we got to give Rich McKay a lot of credit for that as well. So yeah, Sim was unlike any player I've ever covered. So.
Well, and Brian Glazer's making a strong point for him to go to the Hall of Fame. He's openly campaigning now for him to be a Hall of Famer. He mentioned a lot of that in his the presser yesterday, and or what was it, Thursday? I don't remember.
Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday was it. Yes,
yesterday. And he brought out, he had more sacks from 96 to 05 than guys like Strahan, who's in the Hall of Fame, Jason Taylor, who's in the Hall of Fame. So he's making a very valid argument.
I'm looking for what he signed for in free agency.
5 years, $28 million.
And how much of it was guaranteed, Timmy? If you have it, it was probably something like that. All right, so wait a minute. 5 years, up to $34 million that he could have made. And I'm looking for what this, because again,
37.
The quarterbacks weren't making that kind of money back in the day. And I
think it was a $20 million bonus.
Or guaranteed money, one of the two.
Yeah. It was one of the, and I remember Rich McKay getting a lot of crap for that. Like, way overpaid for Simeon Rice. He doesn't play the run, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm looking at the old Lakeland Ledger, which does that paper even exist anymore? The Ledger out in Lakeland has the article that I'm reading that Rice agreed to play. I remember this part too. There was a salary cap controversy because of what Rich McKay had done. Rice agreed to play for $1 million guaranteed in 2001. And then there were accelerators in the contract that would guarantee him $8 million in 02, which again is like unheard of for a defensive end. And I'm reading on here on if there's any other particulars, but I still remember there was some back and forth about whether the contract was legal because they had promised him so much guaranteed money later in the deal with accelerator clauses, which he met because he was getting, now everybody 13, does that. Yes, correct. He was getting 13, 15, 17 sacks a season. Of course he was worth that. But how about that? They got him, JP, for $1 million guaranteed the first year in 01 on how they did the deal. So it was a tremendous job by Rich McKay because he had to fit Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, Mike Allstott, all those guys under a salary cap and make it work. But
they retooled his contract in 03. So he signed a 5-year deal in 01.
All right.
They reworked gave him basically an extension in 03 for 5 years, right at $35 million with a $6 million bonus.
And most of it probably guaranteed too.
Yeah,
he was worth it.
Yeah, so that raised his salary from right around 5.5 to almost $7 a year.
And his thing was leverage. I mean, he could get low and get around you. I mean, he was just quick, and he also was
wingspan though.
Yes, and the wingspan of being able to
where he could,
the Simeon wipe the chop to get the ball out. And I still remember this. I don't know if you ever heard about this or got video. I don't know that anybody ever got video of this. But there was apparently a bet, a substantial bet on whether Sapp, who could literally walk on his hands like 50 or 60 yards, we're talking about handstand and walk, that he and Simeon Rice had a wager going and they finally settled it. And Simeon Rice walked farther on his hands, I believe, as the story goes. He walked like 70 or 80 yards down the football field on a handstand. Hello. That's the truth.
That is insane. That's strength, balance, athleticism.
Yes.
That's incredible.
I mean, try to do, for all of us, we'd end up probably in the urgent care if you try to do a handstand.
Yes.
Then try to move. Try to take one paw step and think about that. That's crazy. But that's what kind of athlete he was, and he was in tears there yesterday, and I'm so looking forward to him being around all of this. He was last around when they honored the 02 team back a couple of years ago, and I remember being around him and talking to him then when they had the 20th anniversary of the 02 Super Bowl team, and they honored him at Raymond James Stadium. And he's been around like Sapp's Hall of Fame, Brooks's Hall of Fame. He's been around. So
did you know that there's a funny moment in the press conference yesterday? He was talking about, And he goes, yeah, I remember playing in Philly, and I think Rondé got a pass. I don't know if he scored. I don't know, And I was like, Sim, did you not know that Rondé scored in Philadelphia?
That's
and he's
the
like,
play.
He goes,
Right.
I don't know, man. It's like he scored a lot of touchdowns. And Rondé was in the back of the room. I pointed the camera. He's like, oh, my dog's up there. He goes, yeah, I remember one time, I think it was a 49ers game. He had a pick 6 and I got a penalty. And Rondé's like, yeah, I remember. Rondé came up and grabbed his face mask, but that's Sim because he doesn't watch football. He played the game.
Yes.
He wanted to be the best. He couldn't even tell you who was in his division. I guarantee you, he couldn't even tell you who was in his division. He's one of those guys that doesn't think in details. He thinks in concepts. Like, we were the best defense of our time. That's the way he doesn't. He's not one of those guys. He couldn't, except maybe some of his own stats. He could, because people tell him all the time, when they're talking about the Hall of Fame, he wouldn't even know. He
didn't take his work home with him.
No.
Well,
hell no.
And one other point, I'm just through my own head. I knew we were going to do this conversation. Wasn't he trying to make movies? And I think
he did. He produced 2 movies. Yeah,
he produced movies as well. Yep. I mean, this is a bright guy. We should not
got 2 in the theaters, and if you don't know how hard that is, it's extremely difficult.
We should just illuminate that he was a bright guy. We're not making him out to be stupid. He's different, and he was a tremendous player for this team. And great that the Buccaneers are honoring him. And you saw he was in tears yesterday, remembering his parents who passed away, that helped him get literally out of the ghetto, out of the projects in the Chicago area, to then play at the University of Illinois and eventually end up here in Tampa Bay with the Buccaneers in a very romantic time where the Buccaneers were rocking and rolling back in the early 2000s.
He told a story about, he would be, he'd be out there dancing. Like when they have play in the TV timeouts, they'll be playing music, and Sim would be out there dancing. It's 100 degrees, feels like 110, fourth quarter. And he said offensive linemen would tell him, after the game or later, when they see him down the road, he'd go like, dude, I'm out there about ready to die, and I'm looking over at you, and you're dancing in the fourth quarter. He goes, that was so. It's like, this guy ain't had enough yet.
Psychology.
It's exactly what
and
it was.
He would get ready. He'd get down in the stance, and I saw others do this before him, but he'd do it, and others have done it since, where he would start doing, I'm going to get in the shot. He'd start doing this to the crowd, like, let's go, get loud, while he's in the stance getting ready to take off. With how big a deal that was. So this is,
and I didn't know I didn't know. Maybe I just forgot, but I knew him and Sapp didn't really get along in the beginning. But he told some stories yesterday, like it was really, really bad. Like it almost came to blows a few times.
Well, maybe they had some clashes, and then they had the bet for walking on the hands, and
I didn't know that
kind of stuff. That's what you have me here for.
I will tell you, the most impressive thing he's done. I guess especially after retirement, is he's 51 years old. I'm 54.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
How in the world do you do that?
Good luck.
I
good
can't
luck
even
with that.
imagine.
Good luck with
My
that.
youngest is 14, and I don't like him.
No, and he loves it. He loves being a father.
I know it. That's great.
When I was texting him the other night, that's what he said. I was like, what are you doing now? He's like, I'm just a dad, man, and I love it. I just love being a dad. And he's playing with talking toys, and and he'll be great at it because he's great at everything he does.
Love it with him. All right, what else?
We've been lamenting our Rays, and you're an old school guy, and you've been on sports radio, and you would go. We dissect the games the next day all the time. I just don't understand what they're doing. What Kevin Cash is doing. I mean, these lineups are ridiculous. Last night again, Curtis Meade is at first base instead because there's a left-handed throwing, right? Aranda is a left-handed guy, so he sits down. Aranda's hitting .231 against lefties with a .375 on-base percentage and a .606 slugging. The guy they replace him with is a right-hander, is hitting .163 against lefties, a .245 on-base percentage, and .408 slugging. What sense does that make?
Do you believe, and I have not heard you, do you believe this is what he's being told to do?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Because he's not
from
that
an
stupid.
From an analytics standpoint, and from whatever, you're going to play the way that we have designed the system, the analytics Bible that says you got to play the right-hander against the left-handed pitcher. Look, I mean, they still, I have not intently kept up with it over the last few days. They're still operating a lineup that has like 4 guys hitting below 200.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't have to be a math major to understand that's bad.
That's really bad.
So I don't know what you expect, because I keep seeing people on social media losing their minds, media members and fans and people that I see on Facebook that are going to the games that they can't get a hit with runners in scoring position. Well, what do you expect? What do you expect with the lineup you put out there?
Hey, here's another thing. They keep putting Yandy Diaz at the top of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
He got 2 hits last night.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking development. There was nobody on base because at the top of the lineup, the 4 guys in front of him have all sub 200 batting averages, and one guy thinks 238. Why would you? Now they'll say, well, he'll get an extra at bat as the leadoff guy. What does it matter if there's nobody on base?
Right, and if you're already behind 4-0 when he gets that extra at bat,
and he's a singles hitter. It's not like he's even hitting home runs.
Right.
I mean, what?
But let's tell the truth. Keep telling the truth. This owner stripped this team of a Rosarina and Paredes, and who am I leaving out? Like 3 of the prominent people. Yeah. Jose Siri is not here anymore either. 3 of the prominent people that could get hits, hit home runs, etc. He dumped them all for salary reasons at the end of last year. And whom have you replaced them with? So I will say this. It is my understanding we are going on Saturday. I have tickets with my father and a couple of other people for the Blue Jays. And I will report back to you on what I see and what I don't see.
Have you been yet?
I have not been yet with all of this. I've been seeing some of the games. We're able to see some of them when they're on Tampa Bay's 44, our friends Channel 44. Again, I'm on Hulu with all this happening. And by the way, interesting that the Lightning were the first ones to take the jump on. We got to get back to everybody being able to see our games.
Shocking development.
Somehow, some way. And don't think for a second that the Orlando Magic aren't going to be right behind them, even though that's not in this market. And the Rays are going to have to follow suit.
Right. As you mentioned, the Rays did it this year with TOG. I don't know why.
Part of the games, right?
22 games. Why not do them all?
But I mean, in the Lightning's case, they broke away clean from the whole Diamond Sports or whatever it is that's now FanDuel, the parent company. They broke away from them and said, we've got to have the games on over-the-air TV where people can see them.
I think Diamond Sports is still producing them, but they're going.
That may be, but we got to be able to have people see the games. All right, so there it is on that. Tim, I know the playoff hockey in Dallas is ramped up. Can we please, whether we're rooting for the Stars or the Edmonton Oilers or the Carolina Hurricanes, can we make sure that the Miami Kitties do not get another Stanley Cup here? Can somebody knock them off? Because for God's sake, we can't rely on the biggest choking franchise in professional sports this century, this quarter century, the Toronto Maple Leafs, to do it.
Yep.
Game 5 at home, playing with a blindfold on or whatever that was. Then you actually go win Toronto Game 6 in Miami. And you come back home in Game 7 and you're down 3-0 right away, and you get beat whatever it was, 6-1, 7-1.
Yeah.
Pathetic by Toronto.
I posted on social media in the middle of that game. I like I told JP to start the show. I put my Toronto Maple Leafs hat on and I went to a bar in full support. I almost wore my Ty Domi jersey, but I didn't get my Ty Domi jersey out.
Well, his son got one of the goals in the game, but
I said the Maple Leafs picked a heck of a night to forget how to play hockey.
Well, but the bottom line is they've done this now for a decade where they can't win even when they're up in a series.
20 years.
Decades.
Well, right. But I mean, they're up in a series repeatedly and can't put it away and then face a Game 7 winner take all on their home ice. And they've lost like 4 of them. I think they've lost 7 of them on home ice. Now I'm talking about
ice.
Well, listen to this Dallas Stars stat. Explain this Dallas Stars stat, hockey friends. Pete DeBoer has been to 6 of the last 7 Western Conference Finals, and he's been fired twice in that time.
Right? Yeah, I mean, you have no job security. And by the way, his record in Game 7 is like 8-0 or 9-0.
9-0 now.
9-0.
Yeah, Maurice is now 5-0.
Maurice is 5-0. Yeah.
You can get this done. Dallas Stars. Let's go Dallas Stars instead of the Florida Panthers. I heard Tim is very disappointed. I heard they bumped Katy Perry, right? Katy Perry's concert Tim had front row seats. Was Katy Perry like tonight?
Have front row
When
seats.
is Katy Perry? They bumped the concert. I heard this.
It was for game one. It was Wednesday night. Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah.
You did not have
Is she
the
doing
backstage.
the national anthem at least?
I did not have. No, we have the great Selena Ray doing that.
You did not have the backstage meet and greet and front row tickets for Katy Perry tomorrow night that are now out the door?
I've got a meet and greet, just not at the stadium.
Uh-oh.
You know what
Breaking news. Breaking news.
There we go.
Look, as much of a lunatic as she is, I can tape her mouth shut. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
I don't want to get you in further trouble.
Always fun to catch up with you. Great stories as
Listen,
always. You're the best.
I'm here for you for whatever you need. Reminiscing about Simeon Rice and the Red Lobster, Rays baseball, whatever you need here on the program. As the summer months go on, let's stay in touch on all of this.
Which Red Lobster was that, by the way?
I'm trying to remember. It was one in Tampa.
Is it still there?
It probably is. I don't know. A lot of them have closed. I mean, these are the times that we're
Mabry Highway.
It might have been. It might have been that one. But he and we did the first show, and it was everything but Buccaneers for a while. And I just, go with it.
And a great show.
Go with it. Go with it, boys. Be
all right,
well.
TJ.
Great to be
Love
with
you, brother.
We'll see you, boys.
All right, we got to hit a break. We're brought to you by the great folks at On-Site Construction and Restoration. Jason Fawcett, our good friend. You've met him on this show a couple of times. We'll bring him in a couple of weeks, in the next weeks or so. If you have anything you need to do in construction, folks, commercial, residential, you want to add on, you need to do some restorative work from the hurricane, maybe you had another contractor that didn't do the right thing, finally find the one that will do the right thing, and that's On-Site Construction. Over 1,400 jobs here done locally. They've been doing this for over 20 years. Go to their website. It's a great website. See some of their fantastic work, onsiteconstructionfl.com. Give them a call and tell them JP sent you. Whatever you need, the construction world, they will do it, and they'll do it with on time and on budget. That's what they do. Read all the great reviews at onsiteconstructionfl.com. All right, back in 3. We're going to talk some more Lightning. So I think Tim's going to quiz me on some possible moves for the Lightning. So we'll do that when we come back. Stay with us.
Ciao, Paolo Tini here, owner of Caffè Paradiso, voted number 3 People's Choice Award on Open Table. I want to thank all our loyal family of customers that have been enjoying our great traditional Italian dishes we make from scratch every day. It's a great family story we're proud of. Our family moved from Rimini, Italy in 1984. My dad, Caesar, started Donatello, and that's where I got the start in the restaurant business. I started Caffè Paradiso on South McDill in 1995, and we've been there ever since. From our traditional ossobuco, a veal slow roast for 4 hours, to our daily fresh catch, the Gruppo Paradiso, with a piccata sauce and lobster claw meat, homemade pasta like lasagna, farfalle salchicha, which is a bow tie pasta homemade with fresh sausage. Hold on a minute, JP's favorite.
I love it.
So come and have a glass of wine with me on South McDill. Get a reservation on Open Table and see all our 5-star reviews. Ciao, see you soon at Paradiso.
Going through a medical emergency without health care insurance can cause you to go into crippling debt. In most scenarios, people are forced to either break into their retirement funds or worse, they're forced to file for bankruptcy. The sad truth is that health care insurance is crucial in today's day and age. Look, I get it. Many of you think you're never going to get sick and health insurance is really expensive. Well, we can help you out with that. Depending on your income, we can find great plans and huge discounts. God forbid you get cancer, a car accident. It could literally ruin you financially for life. So make the call and find out. Even though the open enrollment period is over, you may have some qualifying life events that can help you get covered right away. It can be very complicated, a very intimidating process, but we can help. Go to our website and check out all the 5-star reviews about our helpful agents. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. JP here for Riveters, the official sports bar and grill of the JP Peterson Show. We're located just south of Ray J and Steinbrenner Field, so it's a great pre- and post-game spot, and the happy hour is amazing. Monday through Friday, 3 to 7. Check out these specials. $3 Bud Light drafts, $4 domestic bottles, $5 wells, $6 premium wells, $6 cocktails like margaritas. It's unheard of. And the Riveters food is freshly made daily. No freezers. Happy hour food specials include $3.50 tacos and barbecue sliders. $6 you get edamame or chips with the beer cheese, which is amazing. $8 buffalo chicken dip, my favorite. The truffle fries, chili cheese fries, also $8 at happy hour, as well as other specials throughout the week, including Taco Tuesdays, you get $3 tacos, and Wing Wednesdays, 7 o'clock to 1 a.m. in the morning, you get our amazing wings, 5 for $5 and $5 wells and wines. That's a good Wednesday night. So if you're tired of the preppy, overpriced, generic sports bars, come see the amazing, friendly bartenders and staff at Riveters, where customer service really matters. Riveters, just south of where the Rays and Bucs play. We'll see you there. JP here for my friend Jason Fawcett, owner of On-Site Construction. They do residential and commercial renovations and new construction. As a leading home builder and general contractor, On-Site Construction prides itself on transforming homes through superior craftsmanship, dedication to client vision, and an unmatched commitment to quality and service. It's about building relationships. We take the time to understand our clients' needs, preferences, and budgets so that we can deliver a personalized experience tailored to their unique vision. From the initial designs to the final touches, we're there every step of the way, ensuring that the end result mirrors your vision. Here are some testimonials from happy customers. G. Gibson says, no hidden costs, very honest, reliable, creative, and communicates well. Reasonable and fair with their pricing, no hidden costs. C. Smith said, did not disappoint. I'm very happy with the work. This company really cares and will take care of it. So if you're just thinking about building or renovating, give us a call and let's see what's possible. 813-579-5789 or check out our website at onsiteconstructionfl.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at thirdgenerationplumbing.com. If you want to get your unit tuned up for the summer, which is always a great idea, you need that maintenance. Let them come out and check all the wirings, check the fluids, check to make sure your drain pan is draining and there's no blockages, because that will shut down your unit and maybe even damage it. So make sure all that's done so you don't get that crazy call in the middle of the afternoon while you're at work. Honey, the air conditioner's not working. Oh. You don't want that.
It's not a good call.
That. It probably won't be that nice either. It'll be like, you mother. Damn, I told you to get that checkup done by thirdgenerationplumbing.com, like JP told you to do. You don't want that, so just take care of it. Call him. No. Call JP snatch you. Get that air conditioning tune-up right now. All right, so you had an article you wanted to peruse, right? And talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, like some possible moves.
I did. So now that the season is over, ESPN went in and
Andre Wall and Enrico Ciccone. That's who I want them to bring back.
Okay.
Beat the hell out of Kachuk, and then
there
we'll
you
get
go.
rid of them. Yeah.
Just a one.
Next question.
Couple game contract, right? Just when you play the Panthers, they can come on the ice.
That's it. That's why I was asking Titus O'Neil. Can you skate?
Yeah.
I just need you for one. I don't even need you for a minute. Just drop the gloves right off. Just go get him.
Run 8-second shifts. That's fine. He can get out there for 8 seconds.
Yeah.
So ESPN went through all the teams that have been eliminated, kind of went through what went right, what went wrong, their draft situation, their cap situation, keys to the offseason, expectations for next season, things like that. Now the Lightning are in pretty good shape looking at the draft. They've got it. They don't have a first. They've got a second, a fourth, a fifth, and 4 sevenths. You can find some talent. It's not going to be guys probably that will contribute immediately, but you can find some talent there.
Like 3-4 years tops.
Right. Especially those 7th round picks. You never know. But they said that, all of the obvious stuff here to start off, Tampa Bay proved it was still a powerhouse in the regular season. Their league leading offense, over 3.5 goals a game, top 5 power play at 25.9%. Arguably the NHL's best forward with Kucherov and his 121 points. And they managed to stay afloat even after parting ways with Stamkos. Hedman put in another elite campaign on the blue line and the penalty kill. They gave all the props to them for reaching the postseason for the 8th straight year. Gave props to Breezewa.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So what went wrong?
The Panthers went wrong.
They said, of course, the Lightning were rightly expected to dominate offensively in the playoffs, and that didn't happen. They averaged the second fewest goals per game among postseason teams, 2.25, and Kucherov was particularly absent with 0 goals in the Lightning's first 4 games against the Panthers. And the power play that was so dominant in the regular season, 1 for 15. Awful. They had to deal with the theatrics of a physical first-round series. Matthew Tkachuk, of course, has hit on Gensel. You lost Hagel twice because of the suspension, and then, of course, because of Aaron Ekblad. So they said keys to the offseason here, JP.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I want your take on. They're going to have cap space, maybe for once, for the first time in a long time. And Brisebois probably will have to get creative to bolster the roster next season. What might that look like? They said, is it right for Tampa Bay to try running it back again after a 3rd consecutive first-round exit? Does Brisebois need to change tactics to see the Lightning's chances improve at the most crucial time of the year? He's mortgaged much of Tampa Bay's future because of trades of players and picks to keep pushing their chips in on another Stanley Cup run. Will he be aggressive in pursuing that again? If so, it's all about the trade and free agent market for Tampa Bay. They've got just 3 picks in the first 5 rounds, so maybe he could find leverage somewhere else. They said Nick Perbix is really the only notable free agent going into the season, but the Lightning need to ensure more scoring depth to make sure that won't be an issue this year. We talked about that at length on this show this season, especially early in the year, that they had none. Adding another goaltender to play with Vasi might be a good idea. Johansson is a free agent, and just we don't know where they stand on.
I think they just recently re-signed him.
Oh, this article came out yesterday, so unless it was I don't know. I thought I'd heard that too, but I usually question myself over the written media. So they said the realistic expectations for 25-26 is, again, regular season performance will put them in the running for another Atlantic title, because it's hard to think they're going to fall off entirely just from last year, especially after going in on Gensel and when Kucherov is still in his prime. But
yeah, Johansson got a 2-year extension on May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they would screw ESPN though. So I guess there's your backup goal, and that's not a bad signing. I don't have a problem with that at all with them.
Look, here's the deal. If you looked at if you're looking at the Lightning through the lens of the regular season, then JBB is the executive of the year. The Gensel move, getting rid of a fan icon like Steven Stamkos was not easy, is not easy, but it was 100% the right thing to do. Yeah. It was a great hockey move. The trade that brings in J.J. Moser, that gets rid of Sergachev and his, what I thought was a really untenable contract.
Right.
He made you better defensively. Bringing back Ryan McDonough was a stroke of genius. Connor Geekie is 20 years old, and I think he's going to be a star in this league. Bringing in Bjorkstrand at the deadline, I think it was a good move, but it didn't move the needle. Not like Seth Jones and Brad Marchand.
Right.
Okay. If you judge him on that, on how he remade this team, A++++++. Mm-hmm. Look, the numbers that you stated in the regular season. Like, when have you seen a team go into the playoffs that was top 5 in scoring and goals against?
Right.
And they were top 7 in all the main categories. That's insane. Those are insane numbers. But that's the regular season. And unfortunately, the playoffs, the way the NHL does this, is it's a different game. And they allow a lot more physicality, and they allowed the Panthers to just beat up the Lightning and cheap shot the Lightning, and they targeted the Lightning's best players and took them out of the series. Now, is that JBB's fault? Some would say yes, because we didn't have the muscle to back it up. And I don't, I asked Brian Emblem that. He downplays it. He's like, that's not part of the game anymore.
Right.
But JBB can't. Said that, they were physically beaten up by the Panthers.
Right. And that's something your general manager, regardless of who it is, can't anticipate things like that, right? You can't anticipate the suspension to Hagel or him being out because of a hit. What you can do is ensure that you have depth to make sure that if that happens, it doesn't create that much of an issue because
I don't know. It's hard to create that kind of depth, especially when the salary
Exactly.
cap has been flat for 3 years and it's finally going up. So I think, you could nitpick. Has he gotten everything right? Did trade? No. Okay. But has he gotten most everything right? Yeah. I think he's done a hell of a job. And I work for the team. I get it. But I think objectively anybody would agree with that.
Mhm.
But I'll also objectively say that, as bad as it is, and I people will disagree, but it's the Panthers. It's the freaking Panthers. Like, yes, we lost to Toronto a couple of years ago in the first round. We lost there were 3 overtime games in that series. I thought the Lightning were the better team, and I think we were playing without Braden Point, if I'm not mistaken. So when you look at 3 straight years, you also have to look at it in context. You lost that series to Toronto. It was a really good team that year. You didn't have Braden Point, and they were all close games. I thought they outplayed them. That's puck luck. That's the way it goes. Last year, we matched up against a very beat up Lightning team again, against a really good Panthers team that went on to win the Stanley Cup. You lost to the eventual champions. And then this year, you lost to a team that just, physically destroyed Toronto, who is a really good team. And so the Panthers are the problem. You've got to build a team to beat the Panthers. But the Panthers may not be the same team in the next couple of years so it's hard. It's hard to really kind of pinpoint. And you go back and look at that series against the Panthers. Are they the better team? Yes, they were. But damn, we got about a lot of bad puck luck. Holy Jesus. The puck's going through skates and going into the back of the net at key times. There was again, I'm not sitting here saying that the Lightning were the better team. They were not. But were they 5 games, get out of here? No, it wasn't that. I think it was more competitive. But there were times, like when I'm watching the Panthers do what they did to the Maple Leafs in the second period the other night. It's oppressive. It's physical. It's really hard to play against these guys. And they're really, really freaking good. And they anticipate. And they're well coached. They play hard. They're really good. And I think they're going to win the Stanley Cup because of it. And they're dirty. And they're willing to do things that the Lightning maybe just aren't willing to do. And they have players that are willing to do things that maybe the Lightning just aren't willing to do.
And do things that maybe the league shouldn't let them get away with, but they do.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I mean, they took out Hagel, took him out of the series, took Kucherov out of the series. And, if not for Kuch being a really tough mofo, he probably would have missed some of those games, the shots that he was getting after the whistle, cross checks to the kidney. I mean, cross checks to the back of the head, all that. Like every single time there's a whistle, they don't do anything about it. And I know that sounds like sour grapes, but listen, if you're going to allow them to do it, and they're going to allow them to do it in the playoffs, you got to fight fire with fire, don't you? I don't know. I think you're going to. Do you want to just go build a third and fourth line that's just going to be a bunch of goons? No, you can't do that.
Yeah. But
do you have to have a little bit of muscle, a little bit of more size that you can lean on teams? I mean, I think our Stanley Cup teams were that.
Yeah.
When you brought in Gaudreau, and a lot of those guys were bigger, stronger. That was a different team. And now you had the Panthers with this third line that was just, fantastic. Brad Marchand and Seth Jones. I mean, they brought in 2 guys that have made a huge impact. Our guys did not make a huge impact. I think Bjorkstrand had 2 goals, 1 or 2 goals, and then got injured for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, you want to talk about depth, but they had a lot of guys injured. They had a lot of guys. I don't think the deadline deals, if I'm going to be critical of Brisebois, I don't think they got much out of Yanni Gordon. I don't think he's a small guy, energy guy, but I don't think he brought what they had hoped that he would bring. Bjorkstrand really didn't get a chance to make a difference in the playoffs. So, I mean, what do they need to do? I think they need to probably get a couple of power forwards that they can put on the third and fourth line to give them a little bit more muscle, and maybe, a stay-at-home defenseman that's a little bigger and stronger that can lean on people and maybe is willing to do Ekblad things.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate to say that, but it kind of needs to be done.
I mean, in the division you play in, that's not a terrible idea, right?
No.
I mean, it might not play well outside of the division, but right now you're worried about one team right now.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And look, I can tell you this, and look, we still have conference finals to go, but if it comes, God willing, to a Stars-Panthers final, I think the Stars can hang with that physicality because the Stars have a little bit of that in them as well, and it comes from some guys that you wouldn't think it would. Jamie Benn, our captain, for some reason this season, he's become a goon. Because, dude, especially in the second half after Rantanen got here, because guys were picking on Rantanen a little bit. And, dude, Jamie Benn comes out of nowhere with a fist, with his body. Just, he's had more fights the second half of this season than I can remember in his entire career. And every time it's because he's standing up for his guys. He doesn't give a crap. Sometimes to the detriment of his team, taking unnecessary penalties. They're usually able to come out of that okay.
Right.
But you can't keep doing that, right? But I think he picks and chooses for the most part the right times to do it. And I think it's, especially in the postseason this year, it's surprised a lot of teams and a lot of top line players that he's doing that. And he's not taking crap from anybody. I would love to see a Stars-Panthers final and they just beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah. Well, you gotta answer that physicality. I think you just have to. And you may not be as good a regular season team.
Yeah.
But I think that's okay.
You get there. You just got to
get there. Get in the tournament, and then match. It's all about matchups.
Mm-hmm.
Would the Lightning have beat Toronto? I think they would have. Would they have beat the Capitals? Yeah, I think they would have. Would they have beat Carolina? I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I think they could have beat Carolina. I don't. I think the only team that I fear is the Panthers.
Right.
And if you want to go overhaul your entire team to beat the Panthers, trade Kucherov, trade Vasilevsky. I mean, the silliness we hear. I don't think that's the way to go. I don't think that's the way to go about it. But to somebody put it in here.
You don't want to completely sacrifice your regular season.
Michael LaRue said this: the trade return for Isaac Howard should be 2 premium draft picks or 2 controllable young NHL ready players. There's your improvement right there. If Isaac Howard's not going to play for this team, and I don't think he is, I don't think the Lightning believe he's a good fit. Then if you can get 2 controllable young NHL ready players that are power forwards, let's effing go. I'm ready to see that. If they can get, and Brisebois knows how to find these guys. He knows how to find talent and guys that will fit in here. So I think the Isaac Howard trade could be key. And I think he's looking for NHL ready players. I don't think he's looking for premium draft picks, because even first round picks that are in the mid 20s or in the teens are not guys that are going to come in here and make an instant impact. And he's all about impact now.
He's
not about building draft capital for the future. Yeah. Not when you have, Hall of Famers still in their prime, or maybe just a little bit on the back nine, which you have in Kucherov and Hedman, and, Pointer's still young. Hagel's still young. Cirelli's still young enough. This team is still ready to win. You just got to find that little the third and fourth line tweaks that I think should be more a nod towards power and physicality.
Yep.
That's where I'm at.
They're in a win now mode. They're not in a win in 5 years.
We're not interested in draft picks for next year or even draft picks for this year. We went I'm with you, Michael LaRue. 2 NHL controllable players. That'll get it done for me. All right, we need one more break, and then we come back. I want to finish up. You got some great comments coming in. B, I'm coming at you. And I want to talk. The offensive assistants have been talking today over at $1 Place, so we bring you a little flavor of that as well. We're brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Get that insurance checkup, folks. You're probably spending close to $2,000 a month on different insurance between homeowners and auto and everything else. So even a 10% saving on that is a big deal. So call Italiano, have them shop all your insurance and see if they can find some discounts for you. Chances are that they can. ItalianoInsurance.com. They've been doing it for 60 years here locally. A great local company. Give them a try. Doesn't cost anything. 813-877-7799. Back in 3. Hey, are you tired and broke from going to those overpriced sports bars with $18 martinis and $20 burgers? Well, head over to Riveters, now the official sports bar and grill of the J.P. Peterson Show. I love the atmosphere. It's uniquely nostalgic American, recalling the days of Rosie the Riveter. The staff is incredibly friendly and welcoming in a laid-back, casual indoor-outdoor setting. And check out the reviews, and you'll hear this. Best Reuben sandwich ever. Amazing wings, burgers, and prime rib. The welcome you get when you walk in is incredible. The staff will call you by name. You're not just customers. You're really part of the family. So go say hello to Maha, Taylor, Serena, May, Courtney, Jamie, Christina, Lauren. Tell them JP sent you. This is a real sports bar, and we love our home teams. And they're playing the games on the TVs all the time. You won't have to ask to put the Lightning, the Rays, the Bucs, or the Rowdies on. They do the UFC fights for free, no cover. Big screens and TVs everywhere. It's the place to watch sports in Tampa. Great fresh food, amazing staff, great drinks, insane happy hour, 3 to 7 every day. Race season is here, so make sure you stop by Riveters before or after the game. It's just north of 275 on Dale Mabry, just south of Steinbrenner Field. See you at Riveters. JP here for the Gold and Diamond Source. You know, we told you about the amazing Diamond Savings Account where your diamond never loses its value. Well, now, through the end of May, the Gold and Diamond Source will double your trade-in value up to $2,500. Just bring in your jewelry to trade, and your $2,500 piece turns into $5,000. It's time to upgrade that ring, earrings, whatever. We have gemologists on site to make the deal. Double your trade value up to $2,500. Gets you $5,000 to spend. So go through your jewelry box and get that stuff you never wear and get something new and stylish that you're going to love. Great experience, and we will double your trade-in now till the end of May. We can finance you as well. No interest for 5 years. Only at the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Ulmerton Road. Always online at goldanddiamond.com. Although it may seem tempting to go without health care insurance, the financial risk far outweighs the gain you may experience. For example, did you know if you simply broke your leg, it could cost you nearly $7,500? Put on top of that a hospital stay, you could be looking at $10,000 to $15,000. Ensuring that you don't go uncovered is so important, as according to CNBC, high medical bills are the highest contributing factor to why Americans end up taking money out of their retirement savings, or worse, find themselves filing bankruptcy. So go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. Now, depending on your income, you can get plans for zero premium. Our experts will guide you through the process effortlessly. They will shop many plans and find the one that's right for you. I called and I have full health coverage through Florida Blue for zero monthly premium. It's a free call. So why go uncovered? It's a huge risk. Go to don'tgouncovered.com or call 800-669-1505. That's 800-669-1505. Spring means a time of renewal and Rays baseball, and the folks at Italiano Insurance want to welcome the Rays to Tampa and remind you it's time to renew those insurance policies with the now famous Italiano Insurance Checkup. Let the experienced and friendly agents shop your policy for the best price and coverage. Famous for saving me over $1,000 on our auto insurance last year and over $500 on our homeowners. Now that's a grand slam. Might as well get a double play by adding flood insurance and business insurance to your portfolio. Costs less than you think, and trust me, you do not want to risk your home or personal wealth. That's a big whiff. So step up to the plate and call 813-877-7799 and chat with the all-star agents at Italiano Insurance. 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Go Rays!
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show. Man, it has flown by today, has it not?
Has.
Man, a lot of good stuff. Thank you guys for joining us each and every day. We're brought to you by Onsite Construction and Restoration. OnsiteConstructionFL.com is the website. Go check it out. They're a great company over there. They do great work. It's hard to find a good, honest contractor that does great work. I'll just be honest about that, folks. That's why you got to go with the ones that have been here a long time, have done a lot of work here locally. That's OnsiteConstructionFL.com. Jason Fawcett is the owner over there. He does a great job, oversees all the construction there, commercial and residential. So if you're thinking of adding on to your home or building something new, just give him a call and find out what's going on. It's a free call. get a dialogue going. They'll meet with you, show you what's possible, and you might move on and do something with these guys. OnsiteConstructionFL.com is the website. Check it out. Tell them JP sent you. I want to go through some more of these comments here.
Most definitely.
Mario Christian says the Bucs made out like a bandit with the upcoming schedule. No international games for the second year, a late bye week, and just 4 spread out primetime games. Yeah, I don't think they could have gotten a better schedule. Honestly, do not believe that. Rick said, "Hey, JP's intern, that's you, Alex. Be careful walking around the studio with all the name dropping today. It's hazardous work environment." Yes, indeed.
Rick's on a roll today.
He is. Rick says Dungy had said when he and Marinelli met Simeon to recruit him, Tony was about to give his pitch, and Rod jumped in and told Rice, "I don't think you're good enough for us." Simeon was hooked. That was actually a great play by Marinelli. And Marinelli, that was his whole thing, is like, you got to work within the system, and he taught him to. He absolutely did. Where's the U.S. Open, says B. Does this shape up well for Scotty? Oakmont, correct? A long, tough driving course. So, yeah. Now that Scotty's he's got to dial in that new driver that's not illegal anymore.
Do we really have to talk about
Scotty Scheffler
on this show, for the love of God?
You hate him, don't you?
You know what? No, I don't hate Scott. Okay, for those of you that are golf fans, you need to go watch yesterday's the first 10 minutes of my solo from the rough that I did, because I just laid it all out there about Scotty Scheffler, how I feel about his game and him winning, and just how freaking boring it always is. Every time he wins, it's so freaking boring. It's not good to watch. It's not fun to watch.
Yeah, come on.
I
Just
think
because he
Scotty's a
doesn't
great
make
dude.
mistakes like Rory and kick it into the pond at 13.
Could he be more vanilla? All right. He shaved his freaking beard. The only part of personality that he had. He's
a dad now. He's got dad stuff going on.
You know what? Then go be a dad and stop freaking sparing us all to death on the golf course.
Oh, my God. Can you just accept greatness, please, for God's sake?
I did say he's great. I just don't like to watch him play golf.
He says, do we have a Temu tarp on the trop yet? Rainy season is close. Smells like ass in there. I haven't seen anything done. I don't know what's going on with that. I haven't seen anything done with it at all.
What parts of that thing smells like right now?
Can't even imagine. Yeah, Stu is having tours there as an eco-friendly park. Cheap Jurassic Park. Reese blah, 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 right? JP works for the Lightning, assistant to the traveling secretary. Bartender. That's what I do. Lee Encinosa says to have depth, you can't pay your top players $9 to $10 million a year. You got to have more in the $5 to $6 million range. Okay, you go tell Coochie's taking a pay cut.
Mm-hmm. Can't do that.
How's that going to work? But the other teams won't get away with being dirty like they are. I think you're right. Yeah. I think you're kind of right on that.
The Stars have had some dirty moments in this postseason, and they've been penalized every single time.
Lee makes a great point here. Panthers took advantage of LTIR this year. That allowed them to pick up Jones and Marchand. I think you're right. And that makes a difference. Yeah, absolutely. Obviously we were limited to what we could do in adding players. Scotty could have the career grand slam in the 2 months.
He's not going to. Just forget about it.
Yeah,
come on,
I don't
B,
know.
You're better than that.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, there's nobody playing better than him right now. Pewter Report has been putting out some tweets from all the offensive coaches today. Bucs OC Josh Grizzard says that it all goes through Baker Mayfield. Mayfield is even more comfortable, and that the other offensive players lean on him. Not changing the system is huge for Baker Mayfield and the whole team. That's why Josh Grizzard is the OC. Grizzard says that there's a spot for each running back in the rotation this year. I'd like to see more of a rotation. I'd like to see Sean Tucker get more play. Grizzard says that the key to building on last year is through fundamentals and technique. The focus is on what each player can do individually. Okay. Grizzard says that Abuka is tough, smart, and comes from a winning program. He embodies everything they believe in. Says happy to come away with the Mecca and Tez Johnson in the draft. He's looking forward to OTAs.
I mean, just look at the track record of Ohio State wide receivers in the league. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, pretty good.
That Brian Hartline's a pretty good coach.
It's probably your next head coach there, too.
You think?
Oh, yeah.
How soon?
Oh, Day's got another at least 5 years in him, at least.
Bucs run game coordinator, OL coach Kevin Carberry, love him, says that he fully expects Graham Barton to make a second-year jump and thinks that Cody Mock can continue to improve. Mock has the ability to recover and handle his own against the best pass rushers. That's nice. He said Elijah Klein is a critical piece of the offensive line as someone who can play center and guard. Klein made the most of his reps last year. I like that kid. Elijah Klein's going to be – it's good to have somebody versatile and big like him. He can play.
Yeah.
So that's – it says Graham Barton's going to take a big step forward at center.
Well, what we really need on the defensive side is Chris Braswell to take a big step forward. I would love to see that.
Absolutely. Quarterbacks coach Thad Lewis says Kyle Trask is a vet who hasn't played. Trask has been in the system while quarterback Michael Pratt has started from the ground up. There was some talk, Corwin, I believe it is on NFL Sirius Radio, was talking about a big weakness for the Buccaneers is backup quarterback. Said that this team, this roster is really, really good. It's a championship roster, but if Baker goes down, they don't have anybody to step in with any experience, and that's correct.
Yeah.
So Trask has no experience as very little experience as a player in games. Now he has a ton of experience in practice. He's run this offense. He's familiar with it. He's got tools. Looks good in the preseason.
He played pretty high-level college ball. I know it's not quite the same, but SEC football is still pretty high level, right? So what's more important then? Bringing in a very experienced guy who doesn't know your offense or know it as well, or having Kyle Trask, who's been in this offense his entire pro career but lacks the on-field experience? Like, which one would you rather have?
I think I'd rather have a guy with experience.
Really?
I'd rather have Joe Flacco backing up Baker Mayfield than Kyle Trask.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that. If it's Flacco, yeah. If that's your option, heck yeah.
Well, he may be available. It may be. I'm not talking about. I think people said Dorian Gray Thompson or that
Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Dorian
Gray.
Yeah. Somebody said Dorian Gray Thompson. Like, I listened to a podcast. I'm like, who? Oh yeah, that guy. The guy with three names that begins
DTR.
with Dorian.
Let's just call him DTR.
Yeah, DTR. And I don't think that's a fit for the system. So, but
I think, though.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know. I think if Baker were to go down, is Kyle Trask going to be able to take this team to the next level? I don't think so.
Would you rather have Kyle Trask as Baker's backup right now or Jameis Winston?
We're in the interesting business, bro. Jameis all day long. Kidding me?
You'd say that. I mean, he ain't going to be available, but good God, I'm surprised those talks never
bring the circus to town. Yes,
why did we not talk about that in the offseason before he signed in New York?
What were you thinking? Come on, Jameis. Come on home.
You need to ask Jason Light that next time you guys are having a beer and a text conversation and say, did you ever, just for a second in your mind, when he got cut by or whatever, when the season ended and he's a free agent from the Browns, like, did you ever think about giving him a call and saying $2 million a year?
Would I rather have Jameis than Kyle Trask?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would too. I think I would too.
I would, because I know Jameis is going to push the ball down the field. That's for sure.
Well, the problem is we just don't know what Trask will do, right? It's an unknown.
No idea.
We have no idea.
Could this defense overcome 3 turnovers a game? I don't know.
Well, then you don't want.
But he's going to get you 3 touchdowns a game. He's always going to net. It's going to be equal. For the most part. No, I don't know.
Baker goes down in week 2 and Winston gives us another 30-30 year.
I'm here for it. We can win the division with that.
Probably do.
Absolutely.
Probably do.
Because I'm going to go Knowles over Gators anytime.
Well,
but we know that. So.
I know.
There you go.
As well you should.
Yeah. All right. By the way, good luck to the FSU ladies. They're taking on Texas Tech in the regional, baby. We're going to have to make a little wager here. Texas v. Florida.
You know what? After my Aggies are out, being ousted as the number 1 seed, they didn't even make the super regional. The first number 1 team to not make their super regional.
Right.
I'm going Tech, and then I'm going. You know what? Screw Tech. I'm going Florida State right now.
There we go. Go Noles, baby.
Go Noles. Go Noles.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. As always, great comments. Appreciate you. Thanks, TJ Reeves, for joining us. Thanks to the great Simeon Rice. Thanks for the Rays to blow another game and give us more talking points. That was fun as well. Suck. Let's try to do better tonight, shall we, boys? Cannot wait. See you tomorrow. Yeah.